Hello there, YouTube, and welcome to another nonsensical React video. You might be saying, hey, Inky, you're looking a little bit different today. And to that I say, meowdy, partner. Obviously, for those who may know me or my content, Dark Souls and Souls-likes are a big part of my content. I love Souls-likes because, much like the rest of us, I really like hating myself. And what better game to make me hate myself than Dark Souls, or any Souls-like game for that matter. And I have been sent a video of Dark Souls, but it's cursed. Because what better way to take a game that makes you hate yourself than to turn it into some kind of nonsensical clown fiesta? So, sit back, relax, and Twitch and YouTube, let's have a bit of a gander.
Hello, my children.
Hello,
and
my
welcome
dad.
Back
What?
to another harrowing episode of He Did What to this game? Now, the more eagle-eyed viewers among you...
Ah, I see he too killed the special, unique, secret boss that provides gun. You need 22 dexterity, 35 strength, and clearly 0 intelligence to use it.
may have noticed that there is something immediately wrong with the image before you.
No, it's
One
not.
of these things is not like the others. One of these
He
things
put Halo into
just
Dark
does
Souls.
not belong.
He put
Now, it is standard YouTube policy under Section 12, subsection G7,
It's
that I
brilliant!
have to tease the best part of this video at the start, and
Please
then
tell
not
me I can play
elaborate
this as a
further
mod.
until the end of the video in order to maximize ad revenue. But nah, let's just do this. You guys can just assume that I spent 6 months coding and animating to make
Oh
this
my God,
happen,
this guy's
and I'll
actually
just
a
assume
genius.
that you want to see me shoot.
No one should have this
Let's
kind
go.
of power. Yo, chat, we gonna be playing some Halo Dark Souls? Wait, legit? Oh my God, that's actually genius. Two of the best IPs coming together. I repeat my statement from the last video that we watched of this guy, by the way. That sniper sound from Halo, perfection. You can make a beat to it. This is legitimately so cool. I love how ingenious some people are with this nonsense. I don't even question. I mean, he said literally like 3 months. Yeah, so this is the Dark Souls engine with Halo modded into it. And it's so wild that it just works. Honestly, I actually legitimately think I want to play this. This man is cracked. Completely and utterly cracked. So, suck
Oh,
your
no.
bites. Community
And so
night
now you
cursed
know what
Dark
would
Souls
look
when?
like if it was made by an American development team. But I hope you weren't under the impression this was all I had in store for you today. No. But before we get into that, ad time. Look at this
So,
poor,
we finally have,
unhealthy dude.
mounts
This
in Dark
dude
Souls?
is your average gamer who drinks
Ugh,
terrible
pathetic.
sugar-filled energy
Average
drinks
gamer? Not even got flesh on his bones. Disgusting. What a casual.
all day long. This
Hi, Bala.
awful habit has made all of his skin come off, and now he's just bones. But watch what happens when I give him a
I
now
too
drink
dislike
instead.
being bones. It's why I'm made of goo.
Now
Yo, this
he's
Chad.
maximum over healthy. He can
Thank you
run
for
it
resub,
up to
Balas.
80 miles per hour and can swing this 2-ton metal hammer as if it weighed nothing at all.
Yeah,
and
average
would you
strength
look at that,
player.
he's also bulletproof. That's a pretty potent
Average
potion, if I do
vitality
say
user.
so myself. And the best part is that now you too can use modding tools
Average
to make
Makari
yourself
editing.
invincible in a video game by heading over to nowdrinks.com and using the promo code Inferno Plus at checkout for a free shaker. So next
No,
time you
I don't
invade a
think
gang
I will.
squad, you can just take a quickie sippy of that pineapple twist and then utterly decimate them with your powerful dance moves.
Ah, so this is where Maxo got his default dance Dark Souls nonsense from. You know, I just realized this guy is basically Maxo, but with not quite so ADHD-inducing, scatterbrain, epilepsy-inducing editing.
Link in the description, and now back to the video. Alrighty, so before we get into the incredibly cursed stuff in this mod, I'm going to take a moment here to talk more about guns, particularly about how they work. To start, you may
Well,
have noticed
okay,
that
you
these guns
shoot.
have custom
Okay,
animations.
for real?
What you may not have noticed
I love the fact
is
that he's
every
using
single
Halo
one of
2
them has its
weaponry
own individual
specifically.
set of custom animation.
Halo 2's
This is
weapons
because
were the best
Halo's
when I was
guns
dual
are all
wielding.
sorts of different shapes and sizes, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution to make this work. As every single one of these
I'm also gonna be honest, there was something about Halo 2's dual wielding that was immensely fun, and I was very, very upset when they got rid of it for later Halo games. I know it made like multiplayer really bad, but honestly, why does that matter? Could we please just have dual wielding back in Halo games? There was nothing more satisfying than dual wielding dual SMGs in Halo 2. Kind of gave you the GoldenEye vibes.
guns is held with a different grip or in its own unique position. So after a few weeks of learning about animation control rigs and inverse kinematics, I then began the process of adding over 100
That's some kind of
new
nonsensical
animations to the
science.
game. Yes, this mod has over 100 custom animations in it now. Some of you might think that is gratuitous.
This man
And
is
you'd
doing
be
a
right.
national service.
The next thing to bring up is the mechanics of the
I
guns
legitimately
themselves.
would like to know this guy's
is not some
IQ, because he is
half-assed model
far too
swap
big
where I
brain
just
for my
made a
liking.
hacky crossbow that looks like a gun. Guns in this
my
mod are implemented
God.
as a completely new category of weapon.
And the fact that it
with its
actually
own controls
works as
and
well.
mechanics. This was achieved through an absolutely massive amount of ESD coding and tweaks. ESD is effectively the state machine that controls every character in this game.
You know what the wild thing is, though? This is the only way you can make ranged weaponry in a Dark Souls game functional, or even viable. Nobody in their existence of doing a Souls-like has ever used a bow and arrow and gone, ah yes, this is optimal.
It determines how players act and interact within the game world. Everything from hit stuns to grab attack to movesets to even rolling is controlled by the ESD. And for those of you who are wondering, ESD stands for suffering.
Yo,
This is
you
what
too?
ESD editing looks like.
Suffering? Sounds
Here's
like
the
my
state that
donathons.
controls rolling with a one-handed weapon. And this specific condition right here leads to a rolling attack. Very clear and concise. Absolutely no existential dread that
Ah, yes. These are letters. I see, yeah. These are definitely, at least I think, letters and numbers. Right, guys?
will cause you to wake up screaming every night for the next 3 years because you forgot a single condition in active state 177. Good.
How do you
Now
learn
let's
this
move on.
nonsense?
Visual effects.
How do you
Something
learn
that I
this?
spent
This seems
a
so
lot of time on
outlandishly
was making
complicated.
visual effects for these guns. There's a ton of detail that honestly was entirely unnecessary for me to implement, but I did. Would anyone have been mad at me if the needler needles didn't stick into surfaces and detonate? Probably not. But they do, and it looks pretty rad.
That's so cool.
It's just too bad that this cost me 1/7 of my soul to make it happen.
And yet you've probably made that
Dark Souls
back in
effect
ad
format
revenue.
is called FFX, which stands for... These FFX files are editable thanks to a tool created by Merus.
Ah, that was a
can
Minecraft
convert the
reference.
data
Finally,
into
something
an
I
XML
understand.
format. It's just rather unfortunate that we don't have a key for that data. So almost every single field in the FFX file
the
is
Star Wars
just listed
intro
as unknown
Text
or
looking kind of
unc.
weird these days.
So how did I make custom effects?
You
if we
got
don't know what
grenades
the
as
keys
well?
these files
That's all,
actually
dude,
do?
as if the friggin' black tar firebombs were bad enough in Dark Souls 3. Now you're giving us plasma grenades? What a
Come on, I dare
gift
you
to
to
humanity
guess. Leave a
this
comment.
is.
Indeed, that is correct. Sacrificing the blood of the innocents in service to the Dark Lord Miyazaki. Or, you know, we could have just worked it out through cross-referencing different files and making estimates about values.
Hacker man.
What the hell did
Look at him go! He's doing the computer stuff.
Something like that. And
be
also,
fair,
just
that's
to
what people
prove
think
that I'm
I
not
do when I'm
making
drawing
any of this up,
artwork.
here's the XML for the battle rifle Muzzle Flash.
That looks like someone's shopping list who spent $500 on Walmart garbage. Dude, I've barely got enough time in the day to read my own name, let alone trying to figure out what any of this means, knowing that even in one slight wayward molecule of code would cause it all to go out the window.
This field here at the top is the main effect ID, which is used to spawn this effect. After that is a bunch of initializer junk until we get to our first action call node that actually does something. This particular action call node defines the small, slightly darker sparks that fly off the muzzle flash. These little bad boys right here. These two fields in yellow control the number of sparks spawned when the effect is created, and the green field controls the maximum duration that these sparks are alive for. These purple fields here control the size and scale over time, and down here, these sequences control
I'm not
the
even going
red,
to try and
blue, and green
pretend
color,
to make
as
a
well as
joke
the
about
alpha
any of this, because
transparency
I'm already
modulating over
completely
time.
lost.
And at the bottom here, we have 2 child action call nodes. These are a bit less clear, but I believe the purple one controls the initial transformation and orientation of this part of
In
the...
some respects, I kind of wish that I was born a couple years later. I feel like I was born that little bit too young to know this stuff, or at least have had an indignation to want to learn it. What I'm saying is I'm a millennial. And I don't know what you kids call groovy these days.
The effect, and the pink one controls the initial velocity of the spark when it is spawned. And there you go, all of that just for a single spark. And this mod has over 150 custom visual effects in it, with about a third of them being made specifically for guns. So now we just have one more topic to talk about.
We salute
here,
you, sir.
But unfortunately, things tend to get worse.
Without this
before they
code,
get
we
better.
could not
So let's
blat
talk
our
about
friends.
sound. Dark Souls uses Fmod for sound, and some Chad modders have actually recreated the Fmod projects for the game in such a way that they can be loaded, edited, and compiled with official
You know,
tools.
I thought I was going to get the haha
This is actually
funnies, but this is
really,
just
really
giving me an
cool
existential
and works
crisis.
super well on the remaster. Unfortunately, building sound banks for the original PTDE version of the game
Okay, but
has some
can we
serious
spawn a
issues that no one
scarab?
has yet to solve.
Considering what we
But
saw
I
of this
did
guy's
find a
cursed
rather
Halo,
ridiculous
I'm
workaround.
still disappointed you
Compiling
haven't
sound banks
seen,
that contain
you know,
new sounds is not
obnoxiously
possible,
large
but
things
compiling
being
sound banks
spawned,
that
or
contain
outlandishly
modified
weird
versions
things
of
being
the
spawned.
original sounds is.
Also, where's the Minecraft
So all I had
collab?
to do was find every unused sound effect in the game, painstakingly
Dark
map
Souls,
out
Halo,
all the files and
Minecraft
IDs,
crossover
and then replace
smile?
those unused sounds with the sounds that I actually wanted to add. And the result was this text file that maps out every single one of these replaced sounds. Because without this mapping, I would have absolutely
I realize this video
no
is basically
idea
his
what
way
any
of
of these
flexing his
files
intelligence
actually
on
are
us.
anymore.
He doesn't care
And
about
this
showing
works
off the game.
perfectly.
He's just like, yes, I am far superior
besides
than you
this
in
one
intellect.
Little quirky
You small
detail.
brain people.
On every single map in this mod, there is an invisible area with 3 invisible cut content enemies loaded on it, which are just there to make sure that the unused sound effects are actually loaded into memory. And that pretty much summarizes about 3 months of work in just a couple of minutes. I hope I was able to adequately express the level of exasperation and internal suffering that developing this mod has put me through. I'd also like to go ahead
You know what? Knowing that he suffered making this makes me feel slightly better knowing that he's been flexing on us this entire time. And that might be sadistic of me, but when somebody's flexing on me this hard, I'd like to know they at least suffered to get that far.
thank some people who helped share in my pain during this development as well. Metal Crow, who has been unbelievably helpful with many things in this mod, and most
Someone in my
notably,
chat
he
just
saved my
said
ass
the
by
jank to
fixing
get this
the janky
working, that's some
aiming
Bethesda
camera
level
for range
bullshit.
weapons. Scott Chocolate for helping
You're wrong, because if this was Bethesda, it would be even worse. Because this shows that even a single person can code better than Todd, goddamn, I'm going to make a video game about spaceships, pronouns, Howard.
teach me the basics of animation rigs and inverse kinematics, which is something I've always wanted to learn, but I've never had the mind to just sit down and figure it out. Merus for like a dozen different things. Dude is a legend, and if you have a dime to spare, toss it in his direction. And of course, Crestfallen Warrior for letting me test my guns on him.
I mean, listen,
And now for something
if you're on more than your
different.
first playthrough Dark Souls 1 and you don't kill that guy every single time, you're wrong.
So far, all I've done is focus on guns, and more guns.
Scarab?
But honestly,
Spawn a
they
scarab?
only make up a
we
tiny
spawn a
fraction
scarab?
of this mod's content. It would be impossible for me to cover every tiny little thing that's been added, so I'm just going to pick out the most interesting bits and talk about those.
Wait, you got
Let's
the
start with
weapon from the
maps.
Nameless
Arena
King, the
Plus had
Three
3
Kings?
maps in the original release
Wait,
of this
what?
mod. Now it has 13.
Oh, that's
I don't
genius.
really have a
So that's like the
punchline
PP
for this.
stuff.
It was
I think
just
there was a
a lot
video
of
that came
work,
before this
and
where he showed off
that's
how
all I got.
his
Now you might think that adding 10 more
Dark
maps
Souls
would
PvP
mean
and
that I'd
Halo
let the
worlds
quality
worked, but that
slip.
was kind of eh.
But no, the new maps are way more detailed and
This
better
does that
optimized
and a
than the
new thing in
originals.
one go,
In fact,
which
you
is why
might
we
even
didn't watch the
say
video.
that they now have 16 times the detail. The final map I added.
I promise I didn't pre-watch this. I promise I did not pre-watch this. I did not know that there would be a Todd Howard reference coming right after I mentioned Bethesda. I mean, maybe that just shows that same brain, you know, same brain.
To this mod is actually the culmination of everything I've learned while working with this game engine. It's beautifully lit and shaded and packed with little details that very few players will ever notice.
I'm gonna say this as well, and this kind of makes me mindful of something that I've said for a long time. I think the reason these older graphic games hold up so well is because when something uses hyperrealism, it dates it so quickly. Like, the reason why World of Warcraft, for example, still has really beautiful graphics is because it's not hyperrealistic. If you have hyperrealism, as technology goes on and people get better hyperrealism, the hyperrealism that comes before looks dated and it just instantly makes your game feel older. But when you have like stylization and cartooniness and things that don't look real, it's much easier for that. It's kind of why like the older Doom games and Quake and all that stuff still looks timeless. Like, I love this aesthetic. Like, I would still happily go back and play this kind of stuff over most modern hyper-realistic games any day.
Well, that is unless I blatantly point them out in this video. Another interesting map that I added was Death Island. This map is stupid huge. So stupid huge that it's basically unplayable. It effectively requires 16 people to play.
Basically unplayable, kind of like my brain.
Would spend dozens of hours working on a map like this, knowing that it might not ever even get played. Another map that got...
You know what? I don't envy this guy's intelligence. I envy the time and the freedom of time that he has to work on stuff like this. My guy clearly doesn't do a regular 9-to-5 job if he has the kind of time to make this kind of nonsense. Just like how I'm inevitably destined to be stuck in a constant donathon that will keep me away from doing my regular content in an endeavor to try and stabilize my existence because life is a cruel, crippling mess of depression.
Added was Drop-Off's port of Crossfire. It's kind of neat that the mod that initially inspired me is now a part of Remastered. And Crossfire actually has a unique mechanic that I explicitly designed to make it play better. This map is covered in railings that heavily limit the player's movement options. So I introduced a mantling system specifically for this map. And yeah, I could have just deleted the railings.
My dude turned it into a battle royale.
But we do not negotiate with terrorists
Mantling
on this channel.
in a Souls game? Are you kidding me?
Do you guys ever feel like gravity in Dark Souls is just way too strong? Have you ever just wanted to leap into the air like a majestic turkey and parkour your way through the game? Then why not try out the Squirrel Ring?
Hey Danny, you're in here!
Super jump so that you can channel your inner Sekiro
Oh,
as you
that's so...
jump out of
That was the
bounds
thing I loved about
and
Sekiro the most. The verticality was just so much fun.
You could break the game by jumping into
I still think Sekiro is one of the best Souls-likes out there just because it's so uniquely different.
To the unfathomable game-breaking power of this next spell, Soul Vault.
Yo, you can become Superman! Up, and away!
Yep, I really did put this in the mod. I don't even think I can classify this
as a genius!
It's more like a giant
speedrunners. To be fair, if you showed somebody this scene right here, and you told them that this was a Dark Souls speedrunner who'd managed to figure out a glitch with this staff, I would totally believe you. Because this is kind of the game-breaking nonsense that you see speedrunners doing all the goddamn time.
Taken the appearance of a spell. The only thing I know for certain is that you could probably do a really cool speedrun with this.
You see what I mean? Guys, I promise I didn't pre-watch this. What the fuck? I like how my brain is clearly in the perfect spot to be predicting everything he's saying.
Next up on the list of terrible additions to the game is special attacks. I thought it would be cool to put a new spin on some old classics, like the scimitar. And the scythe that is not actually a scythe, but is just called scythe. And my personal favorite, the Gargoyle's helicopter. You see, it's funny because its rotational energy is exceptional. Hey,
it's funny because loud.
That Daddy Limit video with the exploding kicks meme? Because I made that into a real thing. I also added a giant laser cannon to the Moonlight butterfly horn, which is perfectly balanced and not exploitable at all.
No, not in any way, shape, or form.
To make them more diverse and kind of silly in some cases. By the Lords. I call this one
By the Lords, man.
I'm coming. I've also added a variety of new spells to the game, like Dark Weapon and Projected Heal. But of all the spells I've added, the award
I'm
for a
realizing maybe
spell
doing
that the
React
balance
content
testers
isn't a great
hated
way of
the
me
most
presenting the
has
kind
to
of
go to
content that I make.
Vanish. A spell that makes you completely invisible for 6 seconds, but at the cost
I'm
of taking
honestly
triple
really surprised this kind of thing was never put into Dark Souls to begin with. Don't you nut all over my screen, how dare you? This is meant to go on YouTube, you know.
damage while it is active.
Trust my Twitch chat.
Motherfucker.
Hi, Roxy.
And I guess since we're on the subject of magic, let's talk about purple
Magic.
miracles. Throughout all of the Souls games, we only get 2 of them, and it's just not fair. So I designed a few more Velka-themed miracles. with
Oh,
some
you know
really
what? I only
unique
just realized that actually.
First up is
I never really thought about it, but then again, I'm a
a
strength Andy when it comes to Souls likes, so it's not like I use spells to begin with.
Next is Karmic Reflection, which is a debuff spell that causes healing effects to be reversed. That's right, you can now die from drinking Estus.
That's
This
actually
is truly the Dark
genius.
Souls of Dark Souls.
Why
And
did
for
it
our
take
grand
other
finale,
people
we
to
have
perfect games like
Martyrdom.
this?
It
Developers,
does
why don't you
exactly
use this
what
kind of
you
ingenuity? It's so obvious.
Now, some of you guys might think that
Was that Vegeta's final flash? Or Big Bang Attack, or whatever it's called, when he like blows himself up? Sheesh!
I'm neglecting melee users here with all this magic nonsense, but do not fret, for I have brought the greatest gift of all. In vanilla Dark
Me?
Souls, the left trigger and left
Am I the
bumper
biggest
are
gift?
both assigned to block when two-handing a weapon. I've always felt like this was a waste of space in the moveset, so I fixed it. And boy-oh, it was not a simple task to do that. So to summarize a ton of work really quickly, I have essentially expanded the moveset for every weapon in the game.
Are you
Many
kidding?
weapons now have a two-handed parry as an option, while other weapons have received a special attack.
Oh, that's
And yes,
ingenious!
I did in fact bring super parries to Dark Souls 1. I hope you guys
Oh,
enjoy
that's so
flexing on
cool!
people with the Great Club. Next up, I want to talk about ranged weapons, because they have received a ton of cool changes.
Like, I get
Bows and
why they
crossbows in
wouldn't have
vanilla
done
Dark
that,
Souls
but
were
it's still a really
borderline
fun thing to see it
unusable.
actually be in the
They were
game.
slow, clunky, inaccurate, and did pretty pathetic damage.
Yep.
But now they actually are really solid weapons. I even did a full playthrough with a short bow during testing and had a ton of fun with it. One of the most important changes is the aim.
My guy just says, yo, I'm just gonna do a casual full playthrough of Dark Souls to test a mod that I made. I can barely play through Dark Souls in 7 or 8 days, and yet my guy plays through just in an evening casually because haha, need to test something. Okay, not only is he flexing his intellect, but the gaming ability as well. I am clearly far inferior.
Camera. It's now more centered on the bow itself, giving you a more accurate view of your shots. Crossbows have been changed to allow movement during reloading, and if you are two-handing
ZK.
them, you can freely move while shooting as well. And most importantly, I've added a variety of new bolt and arrow types that have spicy new effects. Sniper bolts and feathered arrows actually deal increased damage the longer they fly, making long-distance sniping a more rewarding
Wow,
playstyle.
actually making
Blunt
bow
bolts are a
usage
special
viable,
bolt
or at
with
least
very
fun.
low damage, but cause heavy knockback, and can actually be used to parry players exactly
The
like
fact
how
that
guns
Dings and
work in
Blood Gulch
Bloodborne.
still gets me.
Parrying someone
Oh
with
no, it's the
bolts
item, never
is
mind.
essentially the stupidest flex
Like, seeing these
of
Dark
all
Souls
time.
characters in the Halo universe is so weird.
Moonlight arrows now penetrate straight through walls, allowing you to make Giga-Brain
What?
Joseph plays.
Nani?
Are basically shotgun rounds for a crossbow, and despite my attempts to make it not OP, it kind of ended up being Dark Beat 2 Crossbow Edition.
Well, of course, it's a shotgun. Duh. I mean, Halo's shotgun should have taught you that.
And lastly, fire arrows now have a cute little AoE.
Aw, that's
Alrighty,
cute.
now it is time for the lightning round. I'm just gonna read off some random lines from the patch notes. Weapon infusions now have
never had
unique
patch notes
effects
be more
like
entertaining.
lifesteal and weight reduction. The point down emote is now parryable. Miyazaki has been added to the game. Dragon form is no longer horrible. The stick has been added to the game. Whips can now headshot. The Patcha Squat has been added as
Hot.
an emote. The ultra secret boss fight with Master Chief has been removed.
Wait, what?
Over 100 new
You can
pieces of
literally find
armor have
Master
been added
Chief?
to the
Yeah, I'm
game
playing this.
thanks
Okay,
to
we're
the hard
absolutely
work
playing
of
this. I need to
Dropbox,
friggin' dunk on
Xenthos,
Master
and
Chief.
Yorgaren. And finally, the well what is it emote is now repostable. Alright, so now it's time for the big one. The 2 words that 90% of you have been waiting for. Oh yeah, baby, it's here. Remastered compatibility.
Yay!
Thanks to the hard work of many people in the community, we now have a version of the mod that is compatible with Dark Souls Remastered. So if you're interested in doing some 9v9 whip-only capture the flag on Death Island, come join our Discord and hang out in the Remastis chat. This is where the community for the mod is settled, and they host arena matches multiple times a week that are free for anyone to join. Links in the description.
I'm sorry, I can't help but notice there's warthogs driving down in the bottom, and having warthogs in Dark Souls makes me realize that we have entered a golden era of gaming.
And also, another quick aside, for those of you who are wondering if having guns in the game will make it really unbalanced, don't worry.
It does.
Guns are completely optional and disabled by default. If you don't want to use them, or you don't want to have players invade you with them, then you can just leave it off. That is, if you guys are even able to find them. All 13 guns are expertly hidden throughout Lordran, and I'm only going to give you 2 hints.
Oh.
There is 1 gun on every map, and you can obtain the first gun before you leave the asylum.
Oh,
I'm very
that's
curious
actually
to see
so
how
clever.
long it takes the community to find them all. So good luck, and I'm placing my bets on at least 2 weeks. And now for the final bit of the
That's
video,
actually super
I'm gonna
smart.
drag
That'd be
some
like
other
such a good
Souls
opportunity to
YouTubers
play the
into this
game.
accursed mod and get their initial reactions to it.
Got the brute grenades as well.
Just walked right into the shotgun.
Dude, the Twitch looks like so much fun.
It's okay, we're together now.
BFFs forever.
I'm going in.
Ah, yes. This guy has my skill level of editing in Adobe Premiere using default text with a colored outline. This is literally the limit of my skill with editing as well, which I wish it wasn't, but until I can learn to edit like Maxo, this is as good as you're gonna get from me.
Sorry, admit it.
That was a nice try.
Alright, so somebody point down.
Just playing some dark
Oh no, Halos.
Halos. Hey guys, you like Halos? Dark Souls and Halo? Just
Point down
Halos
to
with
carry
your
it
bros.
from the spawn. This is
No.
Wait.
Let me try.
Wait.
That's so good. That's genius. That's actually
That was
genius.
next bit is.
Wow.
Okay, you know what?
That on my screen?
I didn't know how much I needed Dark Souls characters doing a default dance in my life, but this has completed my life, honestly.
Like one of those meme videos that's like a bunch of games mashed together.
It's real.
Actually a real.
It just works though.
Oh.
Why did I spawn there?
Oh, I got a truth.
Oh, this is great. Okay.
Range.
As much as I would love to watch all of this is just some nonsense. I love this. I love the creativity, I love the ingenuity, and I think we're gonna have to watch some more of this guy's videos in the near future. I've been told that he's done stuff with warthogs. So if you like that, make sure you comment down below. And I guess if you like Dark Souls or Halos, this is gonna be right up your alley. Anyway, more content coming in the future. I promise there's not scuffed and stupid. Bye, ha!